And I'm super pleased to have RoseAnn DeMoro on the line with us, the Executive Director of National Nurses United. NationalNursesUnited.org is the website. You can tweet her at RoseAnn DeMoro, D-E-M-O-R-O. And Director DeMoro, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
It's great to have you with us. I understand that the Rules Committee for the Democratic National Convention, which you will be a part of, having been appointed by Senator Sanders, has already begun meeting. Do I have this right, the stories that I'm reading?
Yes. Yes. Regrettably, well, as you know, I mean, just to take it back, so the Democratic Party National Convention will be meeting at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, where they've constructed a fence to keep the people out, which I just had to get in because I find that just completely ironic.
Yeah.
The DNC's held at the Wells. Oh, anyway. But, okay, so on a serious note, yes, I mean, you know, our organization has fought for single payer for its entire history. And we, you know, we've been working hand in glove with the Sanders campaign because he is so much about the issues that we're about. And he really wanted a strong voice on single payer. He put me up for the drafting committee on the platform committee. And what happened was they told him directly they did not want me on the committee. They didn't want anyone from organized labor was the excuse they used, which in and of itself shows you how far adrift that we've gone from the, you know, from the fundamental roots of the Democratic Party, that they could actually think that was an excuse that would be acceptable. And so, yes, I mean, that happened. And, you know, subsequent to that, I did testify via Skype the other night during the People's Summit. And it was, you know, it was rather shaky. It was kind of a little hostile. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
I understand. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said on C-SPAN, I see people are really engaging and looking at it on C-SPAN and really commenting. There's like 2,600 views on that. And single payer is something that has to do with life and death. It's not this abstract concept. It's everyday people's lives struggling, and their health is the most important. I mean, if we don't have our health, we have nothing, right? And, you know, single payer isn't an outrageously radical idea. It happens in every industrialized country, but apparently the Democratic Party does not want that on the agenda.
I don't understand that. You know, and I read what I thought was part of a transcript between Barbara Lee and you, in which she was basically saying, "How dare you, you know, tinker with the Affordable Care Act or will you?" No, I'm mischaracterizing that. She expressed concern that people who are helped by the Affordable Care Act would be hurt if we did anything, if we, the United States, if the Democratic Party, if President, let's say it's held, President Clinton or President Sanders, whatever, were to propose something that's an alternative to that. And yet, there are at least two pathways to single payer already built into the Affordable Care Act, aren't there? I mean, individual states can do it, and you know, Vermont passed that law. They didn't have enough people to reach the critical mass to pull it off, but there's at least one other state that's seriously thinking about it. And
well, the problem, yeah, I mean, the main problem is that, you know, the Democratic Party lacks political will at this juncture to get it done. I mean, under a Sanders presidency, frankly, what would have been different, and I think this was the fundamental point I was trying to make, and the ACA keeps the insurance industry in charge. They're the ones who have the reach. So it is not a national health plan. It's instead, it's a corporate plan that we pay for. It does expand coverage, and we do appreciate that, obviously. And that was the key thing that we liked about the ACA. But what's happening now is premiums are going up 25%. The insurance industry is in control and can essentially is in control. And so, you know, the copays are going up, the access is getting less. People can't afford it, and it should be. And the main point here is, and I think it's the kind of what's emblematic about Sanders' leadership, is what he said and what he did was he went out among the people. And this is what I tried to say to Barbara Lee. 58% of the people in this country support a single-payer health care system. Go find those people. Stop talking to each other in Washington, D.C. Stop negotiating down from what the Republicans want. And the struggle is it's an insider's game. What Sanders did, he broke that. He went out into the country. He spoke to the people. He raised their hopes. He got them in a fighting mode, and we're still there. We're still there. We're going to the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia in July, and we're going to fight for our, for the things that Bernie spoke of that there's so much resonance for, and that's what we saw at the People's Summit. So, the Democratic Party lacking political will isn't acceptable to the people of America. They're sitting in today on gun control. That's good. They should have been sitting in on climate control, on climate change. They should have been sitting in on a whole lot of other things, but not sitting in, going out with their constituencies and having them sit in with them. So it's a very different politic that happens at the People's Summit than we see. And people are fed up, both on the left and the right, obviously, which is scary, with the way things are.
Yeah, I just watched a speech by Donald Trump, which is a whole another rant, but I'm just very, very concerned right now about many of these issues that particularly, with Trump basically saying we're going to take on big stuff and we're going to do it fast and we're going to do it big, and and the message that I'm hearing from the Democratic Party is no, we've got to take it slow and careful. And part of that is because they know that the Republicans will obstruct everything, which shows, how how everything Trump is saying is a lie. And yet it's one that I think is going to catch some resonance and which concerns me tremendously. Yeah, assuming.
I agree with that, Tom.
Yeah.
The difference is that the Republican base knows the Republicans believe in their, what I would call misguided values, but they actually believe in their values. And what we see, in terms of what Sanders opened up was an expose essentially on the fact that the Democrats are skating and they're tinkering and people out there are dying. There's a crisis in this climate of I'm in California. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And it has been in New York with the storms and everything that's happening. And why hasn't there been a sit down on that with the Democrats? Because fundamentally, if they've moved to a more kind of almost a soft Republican perspective, and Bernie got in there, Bernie just gave voice to the frustration.
Yeah, no, he did. And RoseAnn, we just have a minute left. What do you see things moving in a positive direction? You're now on the inside.
I am. I see things. I have never seen a time like this of hope. In terms of what I saw at the People's Summit, 3,000 people coming together of different groups, different causes, wanting to unite with a common voice and say essentially what Bernie says, enough is enough.
Right. And do you see, are you hearing that from people within the Democratic Party as well? Do they get it, how upset the American people are?
I think some do. The people who went with Bernie really do. I was at Bernie's house a couple weeks ago in Vermont, and that was clear. But the other ones, for the Democrats not to support Bernie, basically said where their values were. And that's what we see, and that's what we feel. And I think that there's going to be a lot of engaged activism now from progressives to take over those seats, basically to move out the old guard and move in some fresh voices. And I think, ironically, it was Bernie Sanders who's been the lone ranger. Yeah,
we just have to be sure we do it in a way that doesn't end up with Donald Trump as the president.
Absolutely, Tom.
God forbid.
I agree with that. I appreciate being on your show.
Yeah, RoseAnn DeMoro, the Executive Director of National Nurses United, NationalNursesUnited.org. Thank you, RoseAnn.
Thank you.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.